says, why are some people poor? Why are some people poor? Paul Hawking gets it instantly. This is an incredibly important moment in this child's life. The way he answers this question can affect her self-esteem, her view of the world, and so he kind of gathers himself. This little girl, he says, well, sometimes some people have a hard time finding a job or finding work. The little girl says, well, is all the work done? Is all the work done? See, that is your greatest weapon. All the work is not done. All the work is not done. And in fact, we have so much work that needs to be done to repower our country so it runs on cleaner energy and uses less poison and creates less pollution. We have so much work to be done to repower them. And we have so many people who need work that you can literally stand in the breach as an advocate and connect the people who most need work to the work that most needs to be done and fight pollution and poverty at the same time. That's your great opportunity. You can fight global warming and the global recession at the same time by putting people to work in the ways that we need people to be work. This is not utopian stuff. We have a surplus of labor. A surplus of labor. We have some of the most highly skilled workers in the world, in the history of the world, in places like Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, sitting idle. These are some of the most highly skilled workers in the world. You know how you know they're highly skilled? They make cars. Okay? You can't make a car. I mean, we got more degrees in here than on thermostat. You can't. Nobody ever makes a car. These are some, and they're sitting idle. They can be put to work. What are the people who are working today doing? We got people, some people are working, we got some people who are risking their lives drilling holes in the Appalachian Mountains, trying to drag out coal to power America in the same old way, risking their lives, risking their lungs. These are America's heroes, our coal miners. And they're drilling holes, trying to get more and more coal out to keep us going the same old way. Or you got people on oil platforms out there in the ocean, drilling holes, letting them just die, risking their lives, trying to power America the same old way. But your generation, recognizing their heroism, recognizing their sacrifice, has to be willing to say to them, we want to give you a more, if you want to be an energy worker in America, we want to give you a more diverse set of possibilities. Because America's future is not down those holes. America's future is not down those holes. If you want to see the future, look up. Look at the sun. Look at the Saudi Arabia of solar power that we have in this country. That falls on this country every day. Not just in the Sun Belt, but on rooftops across America. If you want to see the future, look up. Look at the sky. Look at the wind. We have a Saudi Arabia of wind power in our country. And not just in the plain states, but off our coast and up near the Great Lakes. And the great thing, if we were building wind farms and wind platforms, the great thing about that is, if a wind platform collapses, you don't have a massive wind slick that comes, and wipes out everything. There's a smarter way to do this stuff now. Never heard of a sun spill, Gotta shut down the solar farm. Another sun spill. There's a smarter way to do this stuff. And we have an abundance of these resources. America is literally a Saudi Arabia of renewable resources. And with the right policy tools to fight for them, we can actually begin to put people to work in those fields. What would that look like? Well, first of all, on the policy side of this thing, we have one strategy that failed. Let me explain it to you, and then I'll tell you what I think we got to do now. Just to be clear, I'm going to talk about cap and trade and that kind of stuff really briefly. I'll pivot to these stuff. But just to be clear, when I talk about these green jobs, these clean energy jobs and green collar jobs, people often think I'm talking about some George Jetson stuff, right? Something in the far, far off future. You know, it's like, yeah, it'd be good if you had these green jobs. It's like, you know, way off someplace we'll get those kind of jobs. Remember those coal miners I was talking about? We have 80,000 coal miners in America right now. 80,000 heroes. We have 80,000 people working in the wind industry in America right now, too. Today. In this economy, with no help from the federal government, we have 80,000 wind workers pushing up, moving against children. The solar industry right now supports 46,000 jobs. There are already more people who are working in the wind industry and solar industry combined than we have coal miners in America. That's right now. That doesn't include smart batteries, doesn't include the smart grid, doesn't include biofuels, doesn't include retrofitting buildings. And that's just the energy sector. The energy sector doesn't include water management, doesn't include organic food. So when people say, well, we all these girl bands on this, like vaporware, green job, where are the green job? You've maybe never met a coal miner either, but you don't think they don't exist, right? I mean, they're there. So I'm not talking about something that we just made up to make good poetry. This is the only part of the American economy that's actually prospering against gravity in this moment right now. Here in California, for instance, you have, because of AB 32, you have 500,000 people working today, 500,000 people working today who wouldn't be working otherwise because they're working in clean tech and green industry. I can't remember how many, California, because they're so enlightened, 1 out of every $4 invested anywhere in the world for clean tech is here. 1 out of $4 invested anywhere in the world for clean tech came to California. So as bad as things are in California, they would be much worse if you didn't have such a strong green economy, such a strong set of green policy commitments moving forward. But we wanted to do more, and this president wants to do more. How do you do more? How do you actually make this be the cornerstone of the economic recovery, long term, so you can begin to put more and more people back to work? What do you do? How do you get those men and women who are sitting idle in Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, and other places the opportunity to stop building cars, maybe build smarter cars, but also the opportunity to build wind turbines. Wind turbines, which again, if you don't pay attention to this stuff, you may not know how important that is. Politicians mess this line up, by the way. They say we need windmills. You ever hear politicians say that? We need solar panels and windmills. No, you don't. This is not Holland. This is not 1850. We need more windmills. We do need wind turbines. You have to imagine Boeing-level engineering. A jet engine in the sky that can turn a raw breeze into a gentle breeze into raw power. 8,000 finely machined parts in each wind turbine. As much steel as in 26 cars. Right? So you can put your auto workers back to work and your steel workers back to work just making the wind turbine. Right? See, everything that's good in this fight against global warming is a job. Right? Wind turbines don't manufacture themselves. They don't put themselves up. That's somebody's job. They've got to put on a hard hat and work boots and go do that work. Solar panels don't put themselves up. Buildings don't retrofit themselves and put in their own new boilers and furnaces and take out their own leaky windows. Workers have to get up and do that. And entrepreneurs have to come up with ways for them to do that. So everything that's bad for the environment is a job, everything that's good for the environment is a job. So the idea there's some fight between the environment and the economy is wrong. There's a fight between dumb economic models and smart economic models, but there's no fight between the environment and the economy. Shouldn't be. So how do you get there? It's great to have all this poetry. It's great to have some people working right now, but what about people who aren't? It's great to have some of this technology deployed, but we're still cooking the plant. What do you do? Well, we had an idea and we got shot down. This is the part that sucks about public life. We had a neat idea that got shot down. It's called cap and trade. Some people don't like it, some people do like it. Let me explain to you basically, just so we can get it out of the way. Let me tell you what I think we do now. Cap and trade, which was, I don't know what marketing genius came up with this term, right? When you say, I'm for cap and trade, right? Doesn't your heart just flutter? So yeah, I'm for Captain Crunch. It was like, I don't have any idea why they let somebody, before I got in this game, that was what they came up with. And it's based on a pretty simple idea, which is nobody should be able to pollute for free. That's pretty much what cap and trade stands for. You can do it with you can do a carbon tax. I'll explain that in a second. But the fundamental idea here was nobody should be able to pollute for free. You can't pollute for free. If you walk out here right now and throw some bubble gum on the sidewalk and a police officer sees you, you will get what? A fine, right? And you'll be happy you got the fine. I mean, not personally happy, but you'll be happy you live in a world where people can't just throw crap on the ground for free. You would have to pay a fine. Why? Cop would say, you can't pollute for free. If you had a small business, you can't pollute for free. You couldn't have a small business where your business model said, every Wednesday, I will gather to myself my trash and refuse and dump it on the highway. And then return to my business. Wow. A police officer would go, hey, you can't do that. Right? And you couldn't then say, au contraire. This is core to my profit model. If you make me pay for this, right, you're eating into my profit. You must be a socialist. I mean, there's a name for people like that, Cretin, I don't use the A word anymore, but cretins, you can't act like that. I mean, that's just wrong. So the idea was about this is going to be fairly straightforward. Nobody can pollute for free. Now, let me ask you a question. If you throw a gum wrapper on the ground here at UC Berkeley, you get a $10 fine. That $10 fine you got is $10 more than we've ever made any polluter in the history of the United States in 150 years since the Industrial Revolution pay for any of the carbon they've dumped in the atmosphere to this day. You will pay $10 more than the coal companies have ever paid, the oil refineries have ever paid, than any carbon polluter has ever paid. You'll pay $10. Now, we thought this was fairly straightforward. There's something wrong with that. If your aluminum foil wrapper is worth $10, this stuff's going to bake the planet. Right? Now, how do you get there? You can do it with a carbon tax. Right? You can say, look, the government's going to set the price for carbon, and then let the market figure out the quantity. Or you can do it with cap and trade. The government can set the quantity, let the market figure out the price. That's basically the same idea. Now, this offends some people, it's a very controversial idea, but the fundamental idea is you got a market failure here. You got a price failure. And the carbon, if either because you trade a shortage with a cap or because you trade a cost with a tax, you can address that price problem, you get a chance to get less carbon to go cost them. Nobody should be able to pollute for free. Well, that turned out to be an incredibly controversial idea. We thought, silly us, that progressives would like this because, after all, it's about the environment, poor people, what's not to like? But we also thought conservatives would like it because it's a market-based solution. We're saying it's a market failure, so you have a market-based solution. In other words, notice, nothing I'm saying here. Am I calling for more welfare? Calling for more work.